إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I want us to think today about something that is just seasonally contextual for us, being in now the season of summer, and we're experiencing quite a hot day today, and we're inshallah anticipating maybe hotter days to come. There was an occasion in our Prophet's life ﷺ, that took place in the extreme of summer, in the extreme of heat, and it is an event that Allah dedicates several verses to in the Quran. About this one single incident took place 9 years after the Prophet's migration after Hijri. There was a planned attack, a planned assault on the north of the Hijaz of the Arabian Peninsula by the Byzantine Romans. And they gathered against the Muslims, or preparing an army against the Muslims in a place called Tabuk, which is north of Medina. It's about 400 kilometers away, about 500 miles away from Medina. And what our Prophet did ﷺ, is that he made it obligatory upon all the Sahaba, all the male, able-bodied, who could afford to go, all who are able and were healthy enough, not old, young enough and able to go. It was wajib, fard, obligation upon every one of them to go to the Battle of Tabuk. And so he gave them 10 days to make preparations for this Battle of Tabuk. Around 25 to 30,000 Sahaba responded to this and began to prepare themselves. The crops, for the family, enough money for the journey. Does each one have a camel? Enough provisions for the journey to look after the wife and the family. Each one is making preparation for this great event going to take place in a place called Tabuk. And it was very interesting because usually our Prophet wouldn't give the indication of where the battle might be until the very end. But this time he told them in advance, it's going to be in Tabuk. And it's going to be, so this is end of July. It's the season of the harvest. And they're all waiting for the harvest. And they're saying things like, this is a time where, the fruits are ripe. And we were looking forward to the comfort of the shade of the trees in the summer. Looking forward to the sweetness of the fruits in the summer. And our Prophet is saying us, you're going to go now all hundreds of miles in the desert, walking in the heat in the desert. It was so hot. Sahaba, they said, on the way to Tabuk, we used to slaughter our camels just to extract the water from them. Just to extract the water, we used to slaughter the camels. The meat is the second thing, but we needed water to survive. They would say things like, we would ration a single date between 2-3 of us for the whole day. A single date. It was called Jaysh al-Usra. It was called the army of difficulty. It was called the journey of difficulty. It was a hard moment in the lives of Sahaba. On the way to Tabuk. Now one of those great Sahaba was a man called Ka'b ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. Ka'b ibn Malik was someone who was famed, he was known, he was one of the earliest of the Ansar to embrace Islam. He was one of the 72 who took part in the Bay'atul Aqaba, one of the earliest converts of Medina. Even before Medina opened to Islam, he had already embraced Islam, but he was from the people of Medina, from the Ansar. He was someone who had a reputation. He said, I never missed any ghazwa, any expedition, any battle except Badr, but it was okay because you didn't have to go to Badr. It wasn't like Tabuk. Tabuk, everybody had to go. No one was exempt, except the elderly and except the weak. And so what he said, when I would see every day of the 10 days, people are now preparing themselves, go out in the market, buy the things for the family and the geese and all the things, the crops. I would go out with them, I would go out with them and to see, then I would come out at the evening and I hadn't done anything. I hadn't bought anything. then I would say, oh, it's okay because I have the next day. I would go out the next day and I would go with the motivation, I'm going to make preparation like all Sahaba, making preparation. And I would go and I would go and I would come back and I hadn't done anything. And then the same thing happened on the third day. And the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh and the eighth and the ninth and the 10th day. And I'm in the same situation. I'm going to make preparations, but something would take over me, and I'd go back home and I'd realize I haven't done anything like they'd done something. And then I said to myself, it's okay because, imagine 30,000 people marching, it's going to be slow in the heat, on the floor, in the desert. Slow march. Even if another day goes past, they're still going to be leaving because it's a slow journey. And so he says, okay, because I'll give myself the next day and then, I'll still catch up the entail of the army leaving. And so he says, it's okay. I waited the other day and I went out to make preparations and the same thing happened. I hadn't prepared anything until I realized that now there's no way that I could even catch up with the army. There's no way that I could even catch up with them, and I had a deep sense of remorse and regret. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah says, every time that Allah opens up a door of goodness in your life, there's always going to open up at the same time, simultaneously, a door of perhaps. A door of perhaps opens up with a door of goodness. A door of maybe, maybe not, could, might, maybe, may. Every time a door of goodness opens, a door of perhaps also opens. One of our ustads, Abu Hanifa, was telling us a beautiful story about him. So remember, this is Ka'b ibn Malik narrating his own story to his son 40 years later. And he's telling his son, this happened to me, let it not therefore happen to you. And so we're reading it, we're narrating it more than 1,000 years after, with the same idea, if it happened then, let it not happen to us. And so his son is narrating, my father told me this, told me that. Ustad Abu Hanifa, he said it was Christmas Day, December 25th. And he goes, I went out to the masjid, I went to pray in the masjid. He said, I would go to the masjid. He said, there was a person in the masjid would always ask me for money. Always ask me for money, for something, food or whatever. He wanted money. Sometimes he said, this man would wait for me in the streets, outside the masjid, outside my home. He's always there, this man, asking for money. And I would give, It was December 25th, Christmas Day, and he goes, I went to pray in the masjid, and this time I found the man in the masjid waiting for me. In the masjid waiting for me. And so I just had this feeling of, had a feeling of, not a very good feeling. Not a very good feeling about this man. And so I prayed my salah, and I went out, and the man was there waiting for me to finish. He was waiting for me for money. He said, I went outside the masjid, and the man was following me outside the masjid. And then he says, he said, I had 20 pounds in my pocket. And I said to the man, and he said, all the shops were shut on Christmas Day. All the takeaways, food restaurants, everything was closed. He said, the only shop that was open was an expensive place. Not even myself or my family goes there because it's too expensive. He said, I only had 20 pounds in my pocket. I took out 20 pounds and I said to him, look, this shop is open. You go there and you buy what you need to buy, and I'm going to wait here for you to bring back the change. And so he said, I waited for him. I waited for him to come back, and then, the minutes are ticking along and the man hasn't returned. And so when I go, I waited for a moment, and then I went to the shop itself. I went to the shop to see what has happened to this man who took the money. He said, when I went inside the shop, I saw this man on the table with a variety of meals prepared in front of him, platter of this, platter of that, sauce this, sauce, all different foods, variety of food in front of him. And the man was so happy, he took the 20 pounds and gave it back to me. And so I thought to myself, what is happening here? The man is giving me back the 20 pounds. And he said, oh, it's okay, it's okay. Because when I came inside the shop, the shopkeeper, the owner of the restaurant, saw me and he said, welcome. And today it's all going to be on me today. And so he said, I felt really happy because I thought, at least I had the intention, of giving the man money. Then I took and Allah gave me 20 pounds back. And I went home and I told my wife and I said, see what happened today? And she said, no. She said, no. You've misunderstood the whole thing. Allah was teaching you a lesson, you completely misunderstood it. He said, the moment Allah opened the door for you, opened the goodness for you, like Ibn al-Qayyim says, simultaneously the door of perhaps good in your heart was a feeling of you were not fully content or happy with that. Allah just took it from you and gave it to somebody else. Allah just took it from you and gave it to the owner of the restaurant. Allah doesn't need us to do anything. Allah doesn't need us. Allah doesn't need our worship. It is us who are in full need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ka'b ibn Malik is saying, therefore, he said the days had lapsed, the days had passed, and everybody had left. And when I came out the next day, and I looked out who's left in Medina, and everybody had gone except the elderly, and I was young, and the weak, and I was the strongest in my life, and except those who were known to be munafiqeen, of hypocrites, and me, and we're all together. And he said that the deep feeling of anguish and remorse I felt at that moment, thinking I should have just gone when everybody else had just gone. But he kept making the excuse of tasweef, sofa, I will do, until the days caught up with him, and then there was no chance to do that again because it's all over, the ship has sailed, as they said, everything's finished. And so therefore I spent those early days thinking, if when our Prophet returns, what would I say to him? And Ka'b Malik is thinking, I'm trying to generate in my mind, like, what excuse would I give? Because I was the healthiest, I couldn't say it's because I was ill. I was as strong as I couldn't say because I was weak. And I'm not a munafiq, I'm not a hypocrite. And when the news was coming, the Prophet is coming back with his companions, he said, I was rehearsing in my mind, what could I say? What could I give as an excuse? And when he came back, he prayed 2 rakats in the masjid. This is the sunnah. Coming back from the journey, you come to the house of Allah, you pray your 2 rakats. This is the sunnah. And when that happened, the people are all coming around him and they're welcoming him and he's entertaining all the guests. And then the second day, the 80 others of the hypocrites, munafiqeen, are all coming in a line, one by one, saying, Ya Rasulullah, we're so sorry. We ask Allah to forgive us. Asking him, ask Allah to forgive us, begging for forgiveness from Allah. But these are those who are known to have hypocrisy in their hearts. Line of them. And he says, and then it was my turn. Then it was the turn of Ka'b ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. And so he says, what do I do? And he said, when I approached the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I could see on the Prophet's face disappointment. I could see disappointment on the Prophet's face. Like, what would he say to his Prophet? And it makes us really think, on the day you meet your Prophet, we meet our Prophet, what would we say to him? What do we say to him? And so Ka'b ibn Malik is thinking, what do I say? What do I say? And he said, I realized the only thing I could say is the honest truth. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I didn't not partake because I was ill or because I was weak. I was the strongest in my life. I was the fittest in my life, the wealthiest in my life. 2 camels. One had 2 camels. I could have gone with either one of them. But I was just lazy, Ya Rasulullah. I was just lazy, Ya Rasulullah. And the Prophet says to the others, this man has spoken the truth. this man has spoken the truth. Ka'b ibn Malik, when he's coming back from that, his tribe, Banu Salama, is around him and they're saying, Ka'b ibn Malik, why didn't you just say like all the other ones said, the munafiqeen, just like give an excuse like them? And Ka'b ibn Malik, he says, was there anybody else like me? Was there anybody else who also said, like, I have no excuse to give? I was just late, I have no excuse. And he said, yeah, there's two others. Murara ibn Rabi'a, and one more, Hilal ibn Umayyah. These two companions, both took part in Badr, have a reputation of goodness. He said, these were the only two others who didn't take part like you. And Ka'b ibn Malik says, and therefore, if I have the 80 to choose from, the 80, the majority munafiqeen, and I have these two others, pious, righteous people, I would rather hang around and be with the two righteous people than being with the majority 80 people. We make that choice in our lives. Who do you keep company with? Would we want to keep company with the majority people even though they're not really good for us? Or would you rather be with the small minority, 1, 2 good people, at least you would take benefit from them? What happened was that the Prophet ﷺ, he told companions that there's going to be a boycott. No communication, no interaction for these 3 companions. Not the munafiqeen, because their fate was already known. They're liars. But for these 3, Ka'b ibn Malik and Murara and Hilal ibn Umayyah, for 3 of them, boycott. No one can talk to them. No one can entertain them, invite them, nothing. And so Ka'b ibn Malik is thinking, what do? You become a stranger in your own town. And Ka'b is saying therefore, the other 2, they're locking themselves in their rooms, in their homes. But what Ka'b ibn Malik would do is that he would go out in the streets and try and give salam, try and get a time to speak, but everybody is just shunning him, boycotting him. And this goes on for 60 nights. For 60 nights. No one is talking with him, no one is communicating, nothing, no interaction, no communication, nothing. For 60 nights. And then on one night, when he was praying Fajr on his roof, he had a person shout and say, Abshir, Abshir, Ya Ka'b ibn Malik, rejoice, O Ka'b ibn Malik. And Ka'b realized it must be that things have now changed. It must be that there's an end point to this, boycott against me and the other 2. And Allah indeed had revealed the verses in the Quran about this entire incident. And He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَعَلَى الثَّلَاثَةِ الَّذِينَ خُلِّفُوا حَتَّى إِذَا ضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَرْضُ بِمَا رَحُبَتْ وَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنفُسُهُمْ وَظَنُّوا أَن لَّا مَلْجَأَ مِنَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا إِلَيْهِ ثُمَّ تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَوَّابٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah says about the 3, وَعَلَى الثَّلَاثَةِ الَّذِينَ خُلِّفُوا, and about the 3 who remain behind. And Ibn Ka'b is explaining the verse himself, Ka'b ibn Malik, and he's saying it means those whose fate was not given a verdict. They weren't given a verdict as yet. Munafiqeen, it's different for them. But about the 3, the verdict hadn't been given. It's about us. And Allah says, حَتَّى إِذَا ضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَرْضُ بِمَرْحَبَتْ, until the earth became constricted for them, even though the earth was spacious, until it felt as if the earth had become so tight for them, even though the earth was spacious and wide. وَضَاقَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ أَنفُسُهُمْ, and until their hearts had become so constricted. وَظَنُّوا, and they realized, and this is a key point, أَلَّا مَلْجَأَ مِنَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا إِلَيْهِ, that there is no refuge from Allah except to Allah. There is no running from Allah except going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all these examples Allah gives in the Quran of those people who were stricken, Whenever we're feeling stricken, and you feel as if what's just happened to my life, and you feel as if difficulties, issues are now piling up on top of you. For the believer, it's this idea that Allah malja' min Allah illa ilayhi. There's no refuge from Allah except going back to Allah. That the deliverance for the Muslim is always in this, in going back to Allah. Where you see Captain Malik and the others delaying and delaying and delaying, Allah in the Quran calls for being quick to do good things. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. And Allah is saying, be quick and be eager to do the good things. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. And race and compete for Allah's forgiveness. And Allah is saying, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. And flee all of you back to Allah. One of the lessons we learn from the story of Captain Malik, Allah be pleased with him, is that, we never should think in our minds and our hearts, just because you have an illustrious past, like if we think of it even in light of the month we're living in, and we're thinking, I had an illustrious Ramadan, I had a glorious month of Ramadan, I did so many good deeds in that month, I was in the masjid every night of the 30 nights. We shouldn't think, just because we have an illustrious past, it would guarantee for us that our future will be illustrious. There is no guarantee. Just because the past was amazing, the future will be also amazing. There's no guarantee. This is a lesson we learn from that. That we always have to keep our hearts in check. Always asking Allah with full sincerity of mind and heart when we say, Ihdina al-sirat al-mustaqim. Oh Allah, truly, if you're asking Allah to guide you, it means that we run the risk of misguidance. It means every single moment we run the risk of our hearts being misguided. And so you're asking Allah at least 5 times a day in your prayers, every rakat, in your salah, you're saying, oh Allah, guide me back to you. Guide me back to the straight path. It's a lesson that we learn from that. Captain Malik says that, on the day that this announcement came, everybody came around Medina to give congratulations to me. People, they came on their horses, people, they came walking, running, congratulating me. I came to the masjid, he said, I saw the Prophet sitting there, and Talha ibn Ubaidullah. He's telling this, remember, 40 years later. And he says that I saw Talha ibn Ubaidullah stand up for me, run to me, embrace me, and shake my hands. And he said he was the only one from the Muhajirin who did that. And he said, I can remember that even till today. How many times in our life, just as a small point, there are some moments in your life that are so critical. You could only remember the ones who were there at that time. On the day of your success, you remember the ones who were there. On the day of your loss, death, you remember the first ones who were there. This is human, this is natural. Captain Malik is saying, I remember Talha after 4, I can remember him being there. What about, I'm sure there were others, but he remembers him. So one lesson we learn, therefore, is that the danger of procrastinating and delaying. Because the moment Allah opens up something amazing for us, it should be that we really seek it. That our Prophet said, Ihras ala ma yanfa'ak, wasta'in billah wa la ta'jaz. Be quick to seek what will benefit you. Be eager for that. And seek Allah's help and assistance, and don't feel weakened, don't feel weak, as if you can't do it. Number 2, the importance of honesty. The munafiqeen, they just told lies. And Allah already knew about them, but they just told lies. Ka'b ibn Malik, he spoke the truth, and the other 2 spoke the truth. And our Prophet said, alaykum bis-sidq, فَإِنَّ الصِّدْقَ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْبِرِّ وَإِنَّ الْبِرَّ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Upon you is to speak the truth. In all of your dealings, be truthful. And have full conviction Allah will just help you. But not if we take the path of dishonesty or lying or treachery or deception, but taking the path of honesty. And he said that honesty, yahdi ilal birr, it leads to piety. And piety leads to heaven, leads to Jannah. And these are a few of the great lessons we learn. Number 3, therefore, always choose to be with the honest, righteous few, but not to be with the bulk and the majority, even though they may be lying. And number 4, of course, is to realize even though we have setbacks in life, for him, of course, it was a setback, it's always a learning phase for us. Always a learning phase for us to get back up on our feet and realize how we're going to move forward with this. May Allah grant all of us tawfiq. When Allah opens up the doors of goodness for us, may we be of those who run to them. Run to them. There are several announcements to make. We'll try and make them all, inshallah. So the first is there's a sequence of really amazing events, inshallah, in the masjid. Today, inshallah, we're blessed to have Sheikh Sajid Umar with us in the masjid after Maghrib. Tonight, inshallah, 9:26 p.m. And he's giving a very crucial, critical talk on staying connected with Allah after Ramadan. Could easily be for any one of us a lapse. Maybe we're attending the masjid less, reading Quran less, less thinking about Allah, remembering Allah. We are not a people who only worship Allah in 1 month of the year or in one land, right? And his talk, therefore, is very important about how to stay connected with Allah after Ramadan. This is tonight, inshallah, after Maghrib. Tomorrow, inshallah, 29th, we have Sheikh Ahsan Hamid and Sheikh Adnan Abdul Qadir after Asr 7 p.m. on the topic of how to contemplate the Quran, to make tadabbur, tafakkur on the Quran, to make contemplation on the Book of Allah. That's tomorrow, inshallah, after Asr 7 p.m. And then on Thursday, 4th of July, we have a very beautiful thing, I think, and that is a program for the over 40s, a men's exercise classes from this masjid at 7 p.m. Okay, so for over 40s, you can't falsify your birth certificates. Has to be honesty. 40 men's exercise classes at 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, the 6th of July, from 1 to 6:30 p.m., a Hajj exhibition for any beautiful thing for those performing the Hajj this year, and also for those who are not. For entire families, we'll have guided tours and original items from Makkah, Medina on display in the Hajj exhibition. That's on 6th of July, 1 to 6:30 p.m. And then also, we tend to forget because of just the fast-paced media stories. We tend to forget, our obligations towards those who are suffering. This is a kind of a continued campaign of trying to alleviate the suffering of the Muslims of Syria, called Slough to Syria from Masjid al-Jannah, a food and medicine appeal. And this is in partnership with Aid Convoy. And so food items they need, like rice, flour, pasta, bulgur wheat, oil, flapjacks, biscuits, and baby care, baby food, nappies, wipes, general items, toiletries, new toiletries, toothbrushes and hairbrushes, and also medical equipment and medicines, at least 6 months expiry date. And that's going to be, inshallah, the collection is at Masjid al-Jannah in the car park after Jummah on the 5th of July till Sunday, Asr, 7:30 p.m. the 7th of July, so 2 days. So I would say really encourage your families to do this for all of us. It's an obligation. It's not even a matter of choice. It's an obligation for all of us to help those who are in need. There is a request for a dua of a young boy called Ali, who was in a coma, and he went through an incident, in his school. May Allah help and protect all young people. May ask Allah give him shifa and cure him, and allow him to have a quick recovery. Muhammad Ali Deen is in critical condition in hospital. We ask Allah to cure Muhammad Ali Deen and give patience to his family. And also, Junaid, Malik's mother, has passed away. Make dua for her. May Allah have mercy on her and all of our mothers and our fathers. There's no loss like the loss of a parent. So it is upon us. Like, the example of Malik when he says that I saw Talha ibn Ubaidullah, only one got up to me and rushed to me. A man who would remember that 40 years later, remember someone who was there for him in his most critical moment in his life, really. It is not, we have to of course make the janazah and attend the funeral and the burial, but we have to be there for one another. We have to be emotional support for one another. We have to be the shoulder to cry on for people who are in situations in life. That is what makes us an ummah, what makes us a Muslim body. So therefore I would emphasize for all those who I mentioned to you who are ill in hospital, let's make an effort to visit them, to speak to the relatives, the children, to comfort them, to help them, assist them. Those who have passed away, let us be unto them. When Allah in the Quran says, فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ, Ibn Kathir says it means, كُن لِلْيَتِيمِ كَأَبٍ رَحِيمٍ. Be unto the orphan like a merciful father. If the orphan doesn't have the father anymore, you be like the father to that person. May Allah make us truly an ummah. Truly an ummah. And we have also janazah, inshallah, after salah. May Allah forgive and have mercy upon all of us. You can pray your sunnah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أيها الناس اتقوا الظلم وعواقبه الوخيمة كم تسمعون عن مصير الظالمين وتشاهدون بأعينكم ما حل بهم من العقوبات العاجلة التي أهلكتهم ودمرت ديارهم فليكن لكم بهم عبرة عباد الله إن الظلم ثلاثة أنواع ظلم بين العبد وربه وهو الشرك قال تعالى إن الشرك لظلم عظيم وهذا لا يغفره الله إلا بالتوبة منه لا يغفره الله إلا بالتوبة منه قال تعالى إن الله لا يغفر أن يشرك به ويغفر ما دون ذلك لمن يشاء النوع الثاني ظلم العبد لنفسه بارتكاب المعاصي التي هي دون الشرك وهذا النوع من الظلم تحت المشيئة إن شاء غفر لصاحبه وإن شاء عذبه به قال تعالى ويغفر ما دون ذلك لمن يشاء النوع الثالث عباد الله ظلم الناس بالتعدي على دمائهم وأعراضهم وأموالهم وهذا النوع لا يغفر إلا إذا سمح له المظلوم وإن لم يسمح أخذ له القصاص من الظالم في الدنيا والآخرة عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أتدرون من المفلس؟ قالوا المفلس فينا من لا درهم له ولا متاع قال المفلس من أمتي قال المفلس من أمتي من يأتي يوم القيامة بصلاة وصيام وزكاة ويأتي وقد شتم هذا وقذف هذا وأكل مال هذا وسفك دم هذا وضرب هذا فيعطى هذا من حسناته وهذا من حسناته فإن فنيت حسناته قبل أن يقضى ما عليه أخذ من خطاياهم فطرحت عليه ثم طرح في النار رواه مسلم أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، عباد الله، اتقوا الظلم بجميع أنواعه، فإن الظلم ظلمات يوم القيامة، وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. ولقد توعد الله الظالمين باللعنة وأليم العقاب، ألا لعنة الله على الظالمين. لا تظن أيها الظالم أن الله لا ينتقم منك لهؤلاء المظلومين. قال تعالى: ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد. وقال تعالى: ولا تحسبن الله غافلا عما يعمل الظالمون ولا تحسبن الله غافلا عما يعمل الظالمون إنما يؤخرهم ليوم تشخص فيه الأبصار. ألا صلوا وسلموا على من أمركم الله بالصلاة والسلام عليه. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وارض اللهم عن الخلفاء الأربعة أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن سائر الصحابة وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، وأذل الشرك والكفرة والمبتدعة والمشركين، ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين. أقول ما تسمعون، وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
استووا استقيموا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. ولا تحسبن الله غافلا عما يعمل الظالمون، إنما يؤخرهم ليوم تشخص فيه الأبصار، مهطعين مقنعي رؤوسهم لا يرتد إليهم طرفهم وأفئدتهم هواء. وأنذر الناس يوم يأتيهم العذاب فيقول الذين ظلموا ربنا أخرنا إلى أجل قريب نجب دعوتك ونتبع الرسل أولم تكونوا أقسمتم من قبل ما لكم من زوال. وسكنتم في مساكن الذين ظلموا أنفسهم وتبين لكم كيف فعلنا بهم وضربنا لكم الأمثال. وقد مكروا مكرهم وعند الله مكرهم وإن كان مكرهم لتزول منه الجبال. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. يا أيها الذين كفروا لا تعتذروا اليوم إنما تجزون ما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا عسى ربكم أن يكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يوم لا يخزي الله النبي والذين آمنوا معه نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم يقولون ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. There will be Salat al-Janazah. After the remaining dua, believe gospel, your sunnah prayers. جزاكم الله خير. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا من الخير فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت واجعل أعمالنا خالصة لوجهك الكريم. اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك وبمعافاتك من عقوبتك ونعوذ بك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين وقل من ذلك. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.